I'm running. Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds show brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the super cool Vegas-style sports book inside the Golden Moon. Bet $50 there. Play award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club for $40. Ranked in the top 100 courses in the U.S. several times. Bet 50, play 40 on the property of Pearl River Resort. Not but an hour from where I am sitting here in the Bank Plus studio. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Show is driven by your next GMC Sierra truck, GMC Yukon, Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon, FowlerGMC.com. Jump online today, pick out your truck, and go ahead and head to the dealership or Yukon Denali. Tom Luginbill joins us. Our friend Tom Luginbill, national college football analyst with ESPN. He's hopping all over the country for bowl games and college football playoff games. Lugs, good morning. Where are you?
I'm home for a day, and then I've got to head out to Eugene for JMU in Oregon for ESPN Radio.
Okay. All right, so another college football playoff game. I know you did SMU at Penn State last year. Did you do another game last year?
Yeah, I did. I did for TV. I did SMU and Penn State, and then Penn State and Boise in the quarterfinals in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yep.
So busy time of year. Let's go Tulane at Ole Miss. Now, they played earlier in the year, Lugs, 45-10. And, of course, Ole Miss dominated and so on. Fast forward, here we are. We've got a rematch in Oxford Saturday afternoon. Ole Miss hosting a college football playoff game. John Summerall versus Pete Golding, players versus players, all of that. Ole Miss is a 17.5-point favorite, as a lot of people think they should be. Do you expect it to be a closer game on Saturday afternoon in Oxford, Luke?
Well, it all depends on Jake Retzloff, the quarterback for Tulane. I had Tulane twice this year, and while they'll be an improved football team than the one that played Ole Miss before, Ole Miss is going to be improved as well, and actually is probably better at quarterback. So when I mentioned Jake Retzloff, the thing about him, and he had not kind of entrenched himself as the bona fide starter during that first contest, but what he does is he's a sandlot player, and he makes a lot of improvisational plays. The question is, what's the result going to be? Because he's one of those guys that could go out there and pull a rabbit out of his hat and make a bunch of plays with his legs, throw 3 or 4 touchdowns, take some risks, not have any negative results. But he's also a guy that could go out there and do the exact same thing and turn the ball over 3 times.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the risk and reward with Retzloff. And if he goes out there and does that, they got no shot. If he goes out there and he makes some of those plays, then, I do think it might be closer than the 35-point differential we saw last time.
Okay. All right. Tom Luginbill with ESPN. He'll be calling James Madison at Oregon Saturday night. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Trinidad and Lacey have been phenomenal for Ole Miss this year. So this is another mismatch. Do you expect them to, impose their will and do what they want on the offensive side of the football Saturday afternoon in Oxford, Luke?
Yeah, I think so. I just think that there's a massive talent gap. And, do you remember when John Summerall was asked initially when they made the top 25 for the first time, and he started talking about his own team and saying, well, if we're in the top 25, we're average. And I think he realizes that while they've made the college football playoff, this isn't one of the better Tulane teams that we've seen over the last 5 to 6 years. They're a good football team, but I don't think they have anywhere near the depth or the athletes, particularly to play in space with Ole Miss. Now, this Tulane team, a year ago had 3 or 4 guys in the defensive secondary that all went into the transfer portal and either went into the NFL or were playing for Power 4 teams this fall. So this is a completely retooled defense playing with some guys that I don't think they were expecting to have to play with. And so I just don't know if the talent gap is going to be close enough for them to limit explosive plays, consistently tackle in space. I would become concerned about that because I think that Tulane's a good team. I don't know if I believe they're an elite team from a group of 5 perspective.
Fair enough. Well coached, did what they had to do to get here. All right, let's go to Bama at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's won 2 in a row, and they just won, a month or so ago. But now, and that was in Tuscaloosa. Bama goes to Oklahoma, and Bama was embarrassed in the SEC championship game, and they can't run the football. Are you expecting a better showing and a close game? The line sure is tight, Luke.
Well, I'm expecting Alabama to be closer to full strength than they were in the SEC championship game. If they get Josh Cuevas, the tight end, back, they get Jam Miller back, they get LT Overton back on defense, and a slew of players that were in their rotation in the defensive front 7 that did not play in the SEC championship game. So I think Alabama's health is gonna play a big role in this. The reality is neither team can run the football.
Right.
Oklahoma can't run the football with a lick. No. And I give them a lot of credit because to run the gauntlet that they ran in the back half of the season with the inability to run the football, and also, John Mateer has been just a shell of what we saw prior to his injury. So, how much do we see some razzle-dazzle out of him? Does he look like the guy that we saw in the first 4 to 5 weeks for the injury, or does he look like the guy that's played over the last, 4 or 5 weeks? And I think you could say the same thing for Ty Simpson. These two teams have very similar flaws, right? They're defensive led. They will pressure you. They're gonna make you earn everything on defense, but offensively, both teams have some warts. And I think when you have a game like this between two talented teams that have the similar issues from a negative perspective, you're going to have to find a way to win the game in the margins. You're going to have to find a way to create an explosive, whether that's through a trick play, what have you. But if you go back to this initial game, Alabama dominated the game except for one category. They turned the ball over 3 times, and Oklahoma didn't turn it over at all. But if you look at how the rest of the game was played out and you watched the game, Alabama dominated the game.
All right, so slight edge to Bama, or are you going Oklahoma?
I think it's a slight edge to Bama in terms of maybe being the better team. But anytime you got to play in a road, especially a hostile environment that's never hosted a college football playoff game, I think you're going to see the same type of environment in Oxford, although the opponent's not obviously to the level of Alabama. I look at this one kind of as a push.
Okay. That may be the game of the weekend. Miami at A&M. So
that's the game of the week.
Okay, here we go. Cristobal, Elko, and we've got some sizzle here. We call it the Tito's Vodka Bloody Mary game because it's an 11 a.m. kick our time. Handicap this one for me as to what's the matchup, what's the number one matchup you're looking at in this game?
Well, let me say this. I think if you're looking at it from Miami's perspective, there are 3 things that have to happen. Number one, Carson Beck has to play clean. He can't have a 4-turnover game like he had against Louisville in their loss. He can't have a 3-turnover game like he had against SMU in their loss. If they're going to be in this sucker, he has to play at the highest level. And he's been in these moments before. Number 2, Miami on defense is going to have to somehow corral Marcel Reed, because Marcel Reed is eerily similar to Kevin Jennings at SMU. Almost identical skill set, can run, can make plays off platform, can make plays from within the pocket. They'll use him in quarterback run, and he gave Miami fits. So I think that's number 2. And then number 3, and I think this is a big one because Miami is likely going to have the best offensive line in college football, going against one of the best defensive fronts in Texas A&M. And who wins on 3rd down? because Texas A&M has been the most dominant team in college football getting off the field on third down. Can Miami extend drives? Can they cash in on third down and keep Texas A&M on the field on defense? I think those three things really stand out to me. If you're looking at a matchup, I think the matchup is, how does Texas A&M handle Malachi Toney, who is not only the most dominant true freshman in college football this year, but he's probably one of the best wide receivers and return men in college football, regardless of class. And they use him everywhere. They're going to motion him. He's thrown touchdown passes. He's run for touchdown passes. He makes huge plays in the passing game as a receiver. I think that's the matchup. If you shut him down and force Carson back to go elsewhere, I think A&M's got a big advantage.
Okay. Were you surprised at what Texas was able to do against Texas A&M Thanksgiving weekend?
No, not at all. And I'll tell you, they were able to run the football. In Texas, when they've lost the football games this year, they have had no ability to run the ball. The entire onus of the offense went on Arch Manning's shoulders. And now all of a sudden you open that up a little bit. And that Texas team was starting to hit their stride. They were starting to play really, really well, and Arch Manning was coming into his own. It was a rivalry contest. I wasn't surprised at all, because I think that there's not a very wide, if any, major talent gap between Texas and Texas A&M, and there may not be one here either. Miami's got major NFL draft choices across the board on the field on both sides of the ball. So I think it's the best matchup of the weekend in terms of two teams that are so evenly matched. And also, we talked about Oklahoma and Alabama's flaws. A&M and Miami don't have major flaws. If you're going to say Miami has a flaw, it's their self-destructive behavior sometimes. Okay. Right? They turn the ball over. Yeah. They'll be heavily penalized. It's not a talent issue.
Right. Yeah, they get sloppy on game day. It is been their challenge. You're right, man. They got, good grief, they got players between NIL and high school signings the last few years. Gosh. I mean, again, we've debated this with you, whether or not Cristobal is the best. We know he's top 3 or 4, but he's a big game hunter like Kirby and a couple others. I mean, he's one of the best recruiters, as you've been around him. I mean, big personnel. I call him a refined Ed Ogeron. Is that fair?
Yeah, probably a little bit. That's probably a pretty accurate description. He was our starting left tackle in NFL Europe back in 1995 and 96.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. I've known him. So when my dad was the head coach at San Diego State, he was on those Miami teams that San Diego State would play on Thursday night or Saturday night, and then moved into NFL Europe, and he was trying to make an NFL roster and played 2 years over there with us.
Damn. Okay. Mario Cristobal leading the U to the playoffs after some heartbreaking last couple of years, especially that Georgia Tech game. Okay, where did I want to go? Oh, quarterbacks. All right, Tom Luginbill, national college football analyst with ESPN, driven by your next GMC Sierra truck at Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. Tom, if you could, let's say Trinidad Chambliss gets another year of eligibility. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm just playing this out. And you're a head coach, and you get to pick between Trinidad Chambliss and Marcel Reed. And you get to pick either one to play with in 2026. Who is Tom Luginbill picking?
I'm flipping a coin. I mean, that is one hell of a question. I mean, it really is, because I think both guys are very, very similar to one another. Trinidad Chambliss, just because of his workload at the Division II levels, played a lot more football.
Right.
But Marcel Reed's been really, really good. I think you could probably make the argument, although Trinidad Chambliss is a really good runner, maybe Marcel Reed's a little more dynamic as a runner in terms of more difficult to handle in space. But that is a really, really good question, and I don't know if I have a clean answer for you.
Okay. No, I mean, they're both talented, right? They're both playmakers.
Yeah.
And
they kind of do the same thing.
I agree. I give a slight edge from the pocket to Trinidad and a slight edge, like you said, running the football to Marcel, even though both are good at both, and they can get better at both. All right. let's stay in the quarterback space. You really like both of those players, and they're fun to watch. They're little playmakers out on the field. Fernando Mendoza, Indiana. I mean, like, are you totally sold? This guy's. I know he's a good football player, but like, what level? Where do you put? Are you like, Bo? This guy's big time. He's NFL, or he's just a super awesome college quarterback. Where do you land on Fernando Mendoza, Luke's?
I think he's big time, and I think he's a top 5 overall pick.
Okay.
He's all of 6'5", 230 pounds, can run, super accurate, highly competitive. Now he's a goofball, as we've all seen, and I think he's got a little nerd in him, the way Andrew Luck did.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, though, when he hops in the huddle, it's like his whole entire personality and demeanor changes. He goes into attack mode,
stealth mode, and
I think he's absolutely, man. And he's just, and I say that, I got to see him a lot when he was at Cal, in their first year in the ACC, and what he did for Cal with zero offensive line help and below average personnel on the perimeter was unbelievable. And then when he got to Indiana and you saw the personnel around him, all it did was elevate him. So I think he's a difference maker. I think he's a great player. And he's a great story. I mean, we talked about it for 20 years. If you got, 26 to 2,800 kids that sign an FBS letter of intent in every recruiting class, but then you've got thousands of kids that are going to go to the Ivy League. He was committed to Yale. He didn't have any offers. You got kids that are going to go to the MAC and the Conference USA and the Sun Belt and all of that. But there's no way to hit on all of them, or moreover, to find all of them all of the time. Right? I mean, Trinidad Chambliss is another great example of that too. It's just, it is so hard, number one, to be right on the ones that you do get, but to find every single one of them, impossible. Yeah. Fernando
Mendoza, they got the bye, obviously, and he's going to be fun to watch. Luke's likes him as a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Do you think that Tom Luginbill on the Out of Bounds show, Diego Pavia, do you think he has an opportunity to make a roster in the NFL, or he's just going to, be one of those just really good college quarterbacks, Luke's?
I think he's a guy that's going to go down as somebody that resurrected a dormant program through spectacular play. Say what you want about him off the field, but he was a transformational player in college football at a place that had never even dreamed of being in the position that Vanderbilt is in right now. Do I think he's an NFL guy? No. Do I think he could be hell on wheels, Doug Flutie type in the CFL? Probably so.
Okay.
Probably so. Now, he ain't making any friends along the way.
No. And let me talk about that for a second. You were a starting quarterback, Power 5 level at Georgia Tech. You've seen all this for years. I get. I didn't like it, but I also, somebody from nothing, from a tough part of the tracks, that everybody's told him he's not good enough. Here's the way I look at this. In life, we still have to have people that have that kind of chip on their shoulder that will say crazy stuff, Luke's. We just do, right? I mean, I don't know. Your thoughts?
Well, listen, I'm a Heisman voter. I didn't take it personally with his comments. I thought it was incredibly stupid and immature. It showed a lack of awareness. And I just think he's gotten so caught up in everything going on around him with what's happened to him, which through his performance, he's created. So you create it, now you're going to live within it. And I just wish, because, Baker Mayfield had a little bit of this too.
Yeah.
His last year at Oklahoma. And I think I've shared the story with you before. Do you remember the whole crotch grabbing thing?
Yeah.
At Kansas? Yeah. Okay. So I had that game and I was on the sideline. Oh. And what got caught on camera was only about a half of the antics that he was displaying.
Okay.
Right? And he does it coming off of a touchdown pass. And we're talking about it on air. I think it was me, Greg McElroy, and Dave Pasch at the time. And it's like, dude, you're likely the leading Heisman Trophy candidate. You are the quarterback on a top 8 team, I think at the time. And you just threw a touchdown pass. Where do you think the camera's going to be?
Right.
Like, have some awareness. Like, just, understand. And I get the competitive temperament, and I love all of that. But I think what's happened, too, is a lot of these guys have gotten so caught up in this that they think they live in this invisible bubble. And then they blurt out things or they post things. And to say that about the Heisman voters, it's like, come on, dude, because now you've basically just inadvertently told Fernando Mendoza and Jeremiah Love that they had no business even being there.
Yeah.
In essence, right? And I just think it's unnecessary. And he's got to, I hear a lot of the Johnny Manziel comparisons and this and that. And I bet you if Johnny Manziel was being honest with himself and had a conversation with Diego Pavi, he'd probably look at him and say, 10 years from now, you are going to really regret some of your conduct.
Yeah.
Who's
your favorite who do you like to win it all?
Oh, my goodness. I think the team you've got to be concerned with right now is Georgia, because Georgia has had to earn this. Like, Georgia, it wasn't that long ago where Georgia stepped on the field and the game was won before the ball was kicked off, right? But Georgia had to do this the hard way this year, and it wasn't always easy. And they scrapped and scraped and found a way, and they overcame, and they've got great players, but it's been harder on them than it's been in the past. And I think that has kind of seasoned them a little bit, give them a little bit of an edge. So I really like Georgia. I also think the other team, because they're so explosive and the quarterback is so good, I think Oregon is going to be a problem.
Whoa, here we go.
And I could be wrong on that, but their skill and their quarterback play, and really their trench play too, has been really, really good. I'll say this, Bo, and I don't know if you feel the same way. I think this is the best group. Remove the group of 5 teams. It's the best group, most competitively balanced group of Power 4 teams we've had in the playoff structure.
I agree. We'll leave it there. Tom Luginbill, national college football analyst with ESPN. He'll be calling the James Madison, Oregon game on ESPN Radio. Lugs, we appreciate it. Safe travels, my friend.
All right, appreciate you. See you.
Tom Luginbill on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Fuse.cloud. Fuse. Fuse.cloud. And managed IT, voice, and internet is powered by Fuse.cloud. Lunch today is powered by Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance. TasteItaliankitchen.com to make a reservation. See you tomorrow.